Well, it looks like the markets are puking. We got silver down, gold down, crypto's down. Something's happening. Someone's running. Someone's scared. Let's talk about this. All right. So I want to take a minute, share some thoughts in reference to what's happening right now, early morning in the markets on this Tuesday morning, the 14th day of October. And literally, gold and silver from London has been slammed down substantially to the point where it's starting to cause a lot of concerns in reference to whether the paper manipulators are able to continue what they've been doing for so long now. So I have lots of little stories here shining light on how silver, is the linchpin towards exploding this entire debt-based derivatives Ponzi scheme nature of an economy that we have. So I'm going to go through some things here, share my 2 cents, and just list step by step how, once again, I think silver is that key metal that will really expose more of the end game financial type of policies and procedures that the world is going to face. This is not just an isolated event. This is a global contagion that's taking place right now, and it's just it's becoming very interesting to navigate. So let's just jump right into it. Don't want to waste any time. Let me get my stuff together here. And as always, looking forward to sharing my 2 cents on this subject matter. So as always, if you guys find value, hit that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe so that you can be notified when I put these little reports out here. So let's just jump right into it. So on the screen here, we got this morning activity straight out of LBMA. Like they literally ending the market there on a very low note because there's a scramble to get physical. I'm seeing all types of story as to how the retail space, they're trying to get as much silver as they can from the hands of the people who are selling silver back, trying to melt it down as fast as they can to get 1,000 ounce bars out to the LBMA because literally people are demanding physical delivery, no longer the actual selling of paper contracts to cash. And so we got 4,100 as you can see here in the red, and then we got $50.64 down from 53.50. And so literally just watching how price of silver, man, is just becoming it's too hard to ignore this type of activity just because we've never witnessed anything like this in monetary history denominated in USD terms. And that's why this is an unprecedented move right here. And so it's just something that we will be forced to pay attention to because physical silver is one thing, paper and all the other stuff on the screen is another. And when it's time to go get physical from wherever you shop at, you're going to pay $50 plus, hands down. And it's good to say at some point pretty soon, because of the increase in demand for physical silver, coin shops, online retailers will have to definitely, I guess, curtail how much they'll be willing to let loose, knowing that they're going to end up picking up a lot of business. And even though you're going to have some people returning silver to sell it and gold to sell it, you're going to have way more people looking to buy than you will sell if the price continues to climb the way that it has been climbing, because we haven't even entered the Crimex markets opening. And the goal, of course, on their end will be to try to slam it down. But all this early morning activity, I'm sure, will turn midday and we'll be back in the green, more than likely. Okay. So let me just give you some headlines as to what's happening out here in the crypto sphere, not crypto sphere. And also let me just mention the crypto space. You got to talk about that as well because there's a lot of interesting narratives coming out now about this recent market activity, this crypto crash that happened on Friday, Saturday area, and it looks like some people, I'm not sure who, have been able to backtrack to some of the sources that benefited the most, and it has something to do with the Trump family. And so I'm going to share my little article on that as well. But early morning activity. So it looks like Bitcoin, America's favorite, is also being pressured because I'd imagine it's a liquidity drawdown. Literally, the markets are screaming, we need more currency. And so people who are in positions holding physical things or digital things, especially if they have margin on any of these assets here, they're forced to liquidate. And so we're witnessing, as you see here, we got up to 115 as of yesterday. And then in less than 24 hours, we're back down to 110,000. So that $5,000 swing there is small on the bigger scale of things, but it's meaningful in the short term, given that the Bitcoin price level where people are trying to find that average price to probably get in at, it's volatile. It's very volatile and it's going to continue to go down. And it's my opinion that everything is hedged upon what Jerome Powell says today. If he comes out saying that there's a probability of more cuts, we could actually see Bitcoin surge. But if he comes out speaking somewhat cautionary about what's happening and doesn't front run the narrative in reference to cuts, we could probably see Bitcoin as well as metals perhaps go a little lower. But of course, because gold and silver are tangible, real world assets that are needed, they won't stay down long. And I imagine that there's going to be a lot more upward momentum towards silver. So just a little something there. Okay, so let's get into some of the primary headlines real quick, some of the narratives that are being put out here. And so I follow a lot of people in the digital asset space as well as a metal space because they are the ones that provide some interesting commentary to try to put together, try to make sense of it. So here we got Eric Young here, does a good job of commenting on things. It says here the banksters are not trying to shake retail out of their silver coins, etc. The silver is not in the correct format. It says here the banksters are trying to shake the big fishes who are holding 1,000 troy ounce silver bars at the COMEX eligible and register vaults to sell them the 1,000 troy ounce silver bars for cheap via the COMEX silver futures. So right now the futures, I think last time I checked, the December futures were going for $48 or something like that, $48, $49, whereas in the spot today was 53.50. And so that backwardation side of things, it looks like because of all the paper manipulative games in the middle, those who are sitting in those current position or in the long position, which happen to be the big bullion banks, they're literally putting pressure on the holders and the ones asking for delivery right now at $53. They're putting pressure, trying to drive the price back down towards the futures, December futures contracts price range, so that people can actually unload those bars closer to 49, 48 as to what they're going for in the future, rather than what people are demanding that's paid today, which happens to be $50 and above. So once again, behind the scenes, there's a lot of manipulative practice by the people who are wearing suits and boards sitting up high that have been overseeing and controlling the price of metals and commodities in general. And it could be that they're scrambling because the physical is so scarce and the delivery is the expectations for delivery is picking up. So it says also this is so that the banksters can ship their 1,000 troy ounce silver bars back to the LBMA to cover their leveraged short positions. So literally, the scramble to get 1,000 troy ounce bars is real, and as a result of that, there's a lot of people being caught in the middle with these future contracts trying to short things. And yeah, so the big silver gamble is what we're witnessing right now. Okay, but it doesn't stop there. Let's give you some more. So here we got the TF Metals report here. It says, here's your overnight slam in London. Silver falls nearly $4 in an hour. So just think about that, $4 in an hour. Once again, we've been seeing silver incrementally climb $1.50 ish a day for the last almost week, give or take. And literally, so opening markets today in the LBMA, they dropped it $4. But then again, it recovered. And so now we're waiting on the Comex slam, which will probably be another $3 or $4. So to get down to 47, 48, then they'll try to settle some of those contracts with with the futures and the expectations of the physical price today. But at the end of the day, by noon today, it's going to be back above 50 and then back towards 43.50 and $54. And so think about this for the foreseeable future until they, I guess, get out of their positions and minimize their losses. I mean, I'm referring to the billion banks and all those that are in the paper game. They're going to literally try to put pressure on silver and gold prices every day until they can get clear of the headwinds. And then once they get clear, if they can get clear, then naturally the springboard that has been suppressing silver for so long is going to shoot through the roof. And we're going to see some things that we've never seen before. And with that comes all the other distractions that, the bankers, those on Wall Street, those that have controlled the capital and the corruption and the digital products that they've delivered to humanity will be forced to deal with that. So, okay, a couple other things there. Here we go. Octavia Costa, my bad. Okay, so it says here the updated silver to S&P ratio chart increasingly suggests that early stages of a major cycle where silver outperforms U.S. equities. It says while many investors have been conditioned to expect the opposite, this chart highlights just how early we might be in a broader trend of capital rotating into hard assets. And so this is just a man putting together his thoughts and analysis. But then again, the charts tell us a good story here. And so based upon what he's saying here, based on previous cycles, it's always good to get potential projections of what could come. And if this plays out, what he's saying is that the price of silver in ratio or in comparison to the overvaluation of the S&P, there's a lot of correction there. And so to go back here, let me go back here to the very top here. It says silver overpriced in U.S. equities back in the late 80s during our Black Friday timeframe. Then we got towards the 2000 era where silver was undervalued, and then we got back to the 2011ish. So literally, it was considered overvalued. It looks like every time there was a somewhat of a crisis or heading into a crisis. So we got that whole Black Friday crash back in the day. Then we had the the .com boom here that took off from there. Then we got overvalued. As silver's overvalued when it got up to $50 during the TARP, the Great Financial Crisis time frame. Then it came down. So here we are now, where silver at $50, $49, whatever they want to have it at, compared to the S&P, which is in bubble territory. There's lots of room for silver to catch up in valuations when you do it this way. So what will the price of silver be when it catches up? Either the S&P must correct downward and therefore making silver easier to catch up to it, or if the S&P stays high, which it more than likely will, because that's how this bubble of an economy is measured in valuation terms. When people say, look at your portfolios, oh, don't you feel rich? They're referring to the major companies of the country or the Magnificent Seven. But if it stays high, which it has to, because this administration is built upon the illusion of prosperity from equities for the most part. So silver has to climb a lot higher. And then that's when we get into an interesting chart here that gives us a very unique perspective as to the potential price of what we could be seeing here. So let me get back here. And this is just something to, I guess, be somewhat, excited about, if I could say that. Let me go back to my bookmarks. Give me a second here. And so there's just some speculation here as far as prices are concerned. And let me see, where did it go? Okay, so here is what I wanted to point at. This is something to consider. When you get all the paper futures contracts, there's 300 plus futures contracts compared to one physical ounce that's supposed to be available in the vaults. And so once we do some math around that. So here's the dude did some math around the current futures contracts that are being listed on usdebt.com compared to the price of silver early or late last night. And so it says, so if the paper silver ratio is 359 to 1 and spot was 52 at that time, then does the price of physical silver being 359 times 52 equal $18,000 an ounce? That's just, a question he put out there. So if you take the idea there's 359 pieces of paper or promises of silver to one actual ounce of silver times the price of whatever it is currently at this moment at spot. So it's 48, 49, whatever they got it at now. Let me just refresh, go back. So right now it is at 50.84. So you do 359 times 50. Does that give us something close to what a true in your hand today, if every future contract must be settled in physical silver, is that the price of an ounce? $18,000. So once again, I doubt we will ever see a price like that. But just think about the idea if that was to be somewhat close, somewhere in the ballpark of what a true ounce of silver would be, then you can imagine this entire monetary system would unravel literally within within one trading day, because Wall Street would be turned inside out, and everybody named other who are dependent upon digital distractions, paper units, digital currencies, dollars, Federal Reserve notes, whatever you want to call it, fiat currencies in general, would literally realize they've been missing out on what has been true, tried, and tested, what has been labeled as the people's money all along, if it is truly um, revealed as what it has been and could be one day, which is actual money that people should have, not more so for tendering to other people to buy things, to sell things, but as a insurance policy against all the $354 trillion worth of debt liabilities, as well as the $4 quadrillion worth of derivatives that have been created as a result of this manipulated financial matrix that we have been forced to live in. So these are things that are concerning. These are things that leads us towards the end game where Once again, we've never witnessed anything like this in modern history, denominated in Federal Reserve notes. So, my friends, this is something we're paying attention to. Thought I would just take a minute, share my 2 cents on what's happening, give you some headlines, and more so point you in a direction where you can actually make sense of this. So, as always, for those who are new, never know who knew. If you haven't, being involved in silver directly, where you're able to dollar cost average, automated silver to your house or to your establishment, and then participate in a community of individuals that are literally putting their boots on the ground, helping people get their physical weight up, while silver is still 52, 53, whatever it is you can get your hands on. Because if it goes anywhere to where it should go, you rather be early than late. And so being involved in the silver business will be a great opportunity. So if you're interested, consider joining the silver team. Links in the description. Go to mysilverteam.com, go through the process here, set up your weight, and then get your information that you need. You have a access to your own store to be able to get to people to get stuff out there. So once again, join the silver team if you're interested. And if you even don't want to be a business creator, you can be a actual consumer of the silver, i.e. buying it for yourself, automating your weight, and then telling people about it. But it'd be good to tell people about it and be a part of it so you can direct them through your links and stuff like that. So check that out. And as always, for those who want to get physical gold, mini gold bars, these are part of the community. My gold bars and mini gold bars in the description. Check that out. And then last, if you guys want to get physical go backs. So go backs. Those are the things, 24 karat gold notes. As you can see here on the price are continuing to climb because these things are going down. So redeeming fiat for real tangible wealth in the form of gold and silver is just a bare minimum you can do to protect yourself. So if you were interested in these, go to buygoldnotes.com. Links in the description. And other than that, good people, just trying to share with you what's happening, paint a narrative, show you how things are unwinding, and then point you in a direction to safety. Get you some life rafts, gold and silver. Other than that, be blessed. Shalom.